are. My name is Tim Schur. I'm excited to share this special presentation with you. So let's get right into it. This is called Unleash Your Inner Millionaire, how to break free from financial stagnation so that you can finally win. So we got three major problems that lead to scarcity. 1, faulty beliefs. 2, poor money lessons. And 3, scarcity habits. So let's dive into this. Faulty beliefs. The roots of self-limiting beliefs run deep in our unconscious mind. We all go through what I call big T and little t traumas growing up, and our brain creates meaning out of that. So when we go through an upsetting, an embarrassing, a humiliating experience, or something that's very traumatic, it causes our brain to create an interpretation of what it thinks that situation means about you, about others, about the world you live in. And so we often develop beliefs like, I'm not good, I'm not safe, you can't trust people, there's not enough, I'm gonna run out, right? And so we have all of these beliefs that get rooted in our unconscious mind, and those traumatic experiences in childhood lead to financial struggles and difficulties in adulthood. So what happens is we unconsciously sabotage ourselves because of these driving unconscious beliefs, and we don't even know that we're doing it. We don't even know that these beliefs exist in most cases. Or if you do know that there's something going on that's keeping you stuck, you don't know how to find it or how to shift it so that you can get past it. And that self-sabotage keeps people stuck. The second problem is poor money lessons. The poor and the shrinking middle class have a completely different understanding of what money is than wealthy people. So when we are struggling with finances, like I didn't have any money growing up. I didn't have any money for a lot of my life and starting out. And so I didn't start out wealthy. I didn't start out with people giving me an inheritance. I didn't start out with any of that stuff. I worked from the bottom up to where I am now. And so growing up, I had a lot of scarcity beliefs around money. And money became a source of stress. I was playing not to lose instead of playing to win. I'll explain what that means a little bit more later. I had beliefs like debt is bad and that, I have to spend money to distract myself. It wasn't to build myself up. It was to distract myself from how unhappy I am with everything in life. And so I'm just going to go spend it on this and that and everything else instead of actually resolving those issues that were holding me back. And then, of course, we develop a lot of scarcity habits as a result of this, right? So financial insecurity leads to poor decision-making, lost opportunities, slow growth, and low self-worth. Procrastination, confusion, undefined goals, isolation, where we start to hold back and hide. We play small instead of shining bright the way you were born to, causes inaction. We have perfectionism, we have imposter syndrome, we have self-doubt, and all of that repels wealth. So let's dig a little bit deeper into each one of these problems. So first of all, faulty beliefs. The root of self-limiting beliefs run deep, as I said. And so in your childhood, your experience of money and whether those who raised you had enough of it or not heavily influences you as an adult at a conscious and, more importantly, at an unconscious level. So if your parents were always fighting about money, if there was never enough, if it always felt like you were broke, if it always felt like you couldn't have what other people had, then it causes a lot of issues with our self-confidence, with our drive, with our feelings of safety, even with our faith. We will even question our faith, like how can there be a God, if I keep going through situations like this? So it puts tremendous pressure on us as kids, and then our brain forms beliefs without our permission, without our awareness, and without our input, and then those beliefs end up driving our behavior for decades if we don't upgrade those beliefs, which most people don't. So your early childhood experiences have a major influence on you when it comes to accumulating wealth, prosperity, and abundance. The culture that we live in also really causes people to have issues with money. For example, the movies that we watch portray wealthy people and companies as the villains who care only about themselves. It's always some rich person who runs a company that's the bad guy or the bad woman, right? It's always somebody that is powerful, that has money, that has influence, that's always the greedy, selfish, evil person. And the person who's the good guy, the person that's a hero in the movie, is almost always an orphan, that has no money, has poverty, has struggles, has no support, no self-belief, but they're the hero, right? And so in our mind, it confuses us and makes it feel like having a lot of wealth is bad and being in poverty is good. In fact, that gets reinforced in religion a lot of times as well. Now, all the different major religions don't have an issue with being wealthy. In fact, many of them suggest that you need to have wealth to have more peace in your life. However, there's a lot of people that have misconstrued that and have twisted that to make you think that the desire for wealth will actually make God mad at you, right? And so we get these iconic phrases, which you've probably heard before. Money is the root of all evil. Even though it doesn't say that in the Bible, it says the love of money before anything else, including God and family, right, is the root of evil, not money itself, right? All rich people are selfish and greedy. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Poverty is purity and godly, right? I used to have that belief that I would be doing this wonderful work with people, these healing transformations, freeing them from the trauma of their past. And then I would charge them, and I felt like it tainted the situation, like it made it worse. Like I was doing good healing work, and then all of a sudden I was charging people and money got involved, and it somehow made it less than, which was ridiculous. It's a dumb belief. It's a silly idea. And I had to get rid of it because it was keeping me broke. And if you're broke, you can't really focus on helping people in the way you could. You can't reach more people. You're so limited. And instead of adding value to more people in the way you could, you're focusing on how am I going to get through the day, right? How am I going to pay my bills? And so there is no piety, there is no reward for being stuck. God didn't create us in his image where he was an abundant creator so that we could show up in this world and play small. It doesn't make sense, but we got these human beliefs in our mind that sabotage us. Here's another common one. It's easier for a camel to ride through the eye of the needle than for a wealthy man to enter the kingdom of heaven. What does that mean then? That means I got to get rid of my wealth or I won't get into heaven. What kind of a belief is that, right? That's a scarcity belief, but it's embedded in people's brains because that's what they heard growing up. All right, now let's talk about some poor money lessons. The poor and shrinking middle class have a completely different understanding of money than wealthy people. Okay, so people who don't have a lot of money, they grow up feeling like money is stress. We're playing not to lose. Debt is bad. We got to spend to distract ourselves. You know, one of the number one reasons why people get divorced is because of money. People argue over money and not having enough of it more than anything else. And then, of course, we get this negative anchor, these situations that activate these feelings of fear and overwhelm and depression and anger, right? We get all these feelings because we have these beliefs that I'm running out. I'm going to run out of money. It's a common fear that generates massive stress, which is then associated with money. Remember, your brain is always trying to avoid pain. So if you are in your brain saying, this is going to cause me pain, this is going to cause me pain, and what you're talking about is money, your brain associates pain to money, and then it repels it naturally, right? Energetically, because it doesn't want to do anything that it thinks is going to cause emotional distress, or it's going to cause us harm, physical or emotional, so it tries to push it away. If you've associated massive pain to money or not having enough, which is what most people do, then it causes you to actually repel it. You'll sabotage yourself. You won't show up for sessions. You'll make money, but then you blow it on buying more expensive stuff or making silly decisions. And then all of a sudden, you're feeling back to broke again. And that's when all the family comes in and says, oh, you're okay. And, you didn't want to go corporate anyway. Right. And then they actually reinforce you for staying stuck the way that they are, instead of encouraging you to go build it back up again. There are so many reasons why people struggle financially, and it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's not because you're broken. It's not because you went through these experiences. It's because you have faulty beliefs in your mind, or maybe you haven't actually been taught what wealthy people think. And I wasn't. I had to go find out for myself. So we want to make sure that we're not energetically repelling wealth and opportunities because our brain is trying to keep us from pain, right? We play not to lose. I used to do that all the time. When you play not to lose, the unconscious desire is not to get hurt, ripped off, burned, to look embarrassed, to look foolish, to be rejected by others. So we don't put ourselves out there. We don't toot our own horn. We don't talk confidently about how we can help people, right? Because we think that we're being arrogant, or we're being selfish, or we're being narcissistic, or we're being, whatever people say. And then it's like, but we are lighthouses. We're there at the edge of the water, and we're supposed to shine our light brightly so that people out there in the storm can find us. If you turn your light off, how are people supposed to find you? How are people supposed to find you? If you don't have the confidence to get out there and shine, how is anybody supposed to have the confidence to believe in themselves or to believe that you can help them? So we got to play to win. When I was playing not to lose, even when I was winning and having all these accomplishments, I still felt inside like I was losing. It wasn't enough because somebody else had more than me. It wasn't enough because I accomplished all of this, but I haven't accomplished this other stuff yet. And so no matter what I accomplished, it never felt like it was good enough, like I wasn't good enough. And that causes problems in your brain, because then it causes you to keep experiencing situations like that. So that no matter what you do, it keeps putting you in the same spot. So we have to upgrade the beliefs, and we've got to start to upgrade the way that we communicate with ourselves. Like, for example, when you are struggling with money, you think that debt is bad, right? We are taught that if you get money, pay off debt. Don't borrow from others unless you have no other choice, and keep your money away from those greedy banks, okay? So there's so many problems with each one of those ideas. The wealthy people don't think like that. Wealthy people think when you get money, use that money to make more money. Don't worry about paying off debt. Focus on making that next, $10,000, that next $100,000, that next $1 million, right? That next $1. Okay, so debt is good. Sometimes you got to borrow from other people. You always go down before you go up. You got to spend money to make money, right? So wealthy people are always borrowing other people's money so that they can use that to collapse time frames, to get what they want faster. You pay for speed. You pay for results. That's why you hire the best coaches. That's why you get into the best certification programs. That's why you get into communities with people who are believing the same thing as you and going in the same direction as you. Most people don't do that, right? They don't want to get into debt. They pay off their debt, and then they don't have any money for advertising. They don't have any money to pay off their teams. They don't take the risks. They don't invest in themselves or their business or their education. And so they don't collect the wisdom. They don't get the feedback. They don't grow forward. They don't have any of that because they're hiding, they're playing it safe, they're stuck in their comfort zone. Or they're taking their money and they're hiding it under their mattress where it's not collecting compound interest. You got to get that money and you've got to invest it. You got to get in the stock market. You got to put it in mutual funds. You got to get it in when the stock market is down, you put it in the bank. And so you get higher interest rates. So that money is making 4%, 5%, 8%, 12%, sometimes more consistently over years. If it's hiding in a mattress under your, in your bedroom, it's earning 0% forever, right? Which means the money is actually becoming less valuable because with inflation, what a dollar is worth now will be less, it's less now than it was before because of inflation, right? So we have so many ideas around money that are false. And then, of course, what do? Well, people who are struggling, they say the bigger your TV, the less money in your bank account. Because people who spend all their time watching TV are not spending their time building a business, developing multiple streams of income, investing in their education so that they know how to get their money to make money for them. They're not investing in personal development or emotional intelligence. They're not doing any of that. They're watching TV. They're watching sports all the time. They're distracting themselves with their stress by smoking, eating, drinking, taking pills. They're going on elaborate vacations, saving up for 5 years to go on a vacation. Well, you know what? What if you took some of that money and you invested it into your education? Then you could go on vacation every year instead of every 5 years. Or you could go on vacation every quarter instead of every year or two. So we got to make sure that we are spending to build ourselves up, but that's just not what most people do. The third problem is scarcity habits. Okay, financial insecurity leads to poor decision-making, lost opportunities, slow growth, and low self-esteem. Your net worth is directly connected to your self-worth. If you're not feeling good about yourself, it's going to be very difficult to make money. And people who do make money and all they do is make money and they don't care about anything else but making money are usually the most unhappy, rude, offensive people that there is, right? Remember in a Dickens story, The Christmas Carol, with Ebenezer Scrooge, and he was the richest man in town and he was the most miserable one and everybody hated him until he had that awakening. until he upgraded his beliefs. And then he showed up charitable and giving. And then all of a sudden he became everybody's best friend, right? If we don't have that mindset, then it leads to procrastination, confusion, unclear goals, isolation, because we're hiding, we're holding back. We don't want anybody's feedback because we don't want to look dumb. We don't want to look foolish. We're trying to keep up this charade. You know, we are trying to put a smile on our face on the outside, but dying on the inside, right? We got the big fancy house, but there's no furniture inside of it. You're driving the big fancy car, but you can't afford the payments, right? People are doing all of these silly things, and it causes us to repel wealth, which is the opposite of becoming wealthy. So we have self-sabotage, the fear of failing, the fear of being rejected, of being humiliated, of being abandoned. It causes us to hold back and shy away from those growth-producing opportunities. Then, of course, we're making poor decisions. Instead of doing what's right or what's needed, we go with the cheapest, no-risk option and bail out at the first sign of trouble. So I work with people and their first session didn't go as great as I would want it to. And not many, but some of them would immediately be like trying to get a refund. They're like, I just want to cut my losses and get out. I'm like, how are you going to grow if you do that? You need to lean in. We're going to get feedback. We're going to adjust. We're going to shift. We're going to correct on the fly. We're going to grow forward, and we're going to make the next session even better, right? Let's be committed to make this happen. And the people that said, okay, I'm doing that, are the ones that had great results. The ones that stopped, the one that quit, the one that was complaining, the one was going online and giving terrible reviews, the one that was destroying their reputation with other high achievers is the one that isn't even in the game anymore. They're not even in the game anymore. They knock themselves out of the game acting that way. Okay. And because we isolate ourselves, because we do that, we're not getting feedback and we're not getting support. And that is a big no-no when you're trying to create wealth and grow your business. The fear of others' judgment causes us to hide and keeps your blind spots from being revealed. Let me tell you something. The only reason you're afraid of other people rejecting you or judging you is because you are judging yourself. You're rejecting yourself. You're criticizing yourself. You're being mean to yourself. You're scaring yourself. You walk around all day long telling yourself a story about how awful everything is and nobody cares about you. And that is causing you to project out into the world what you pay attention to. There is no reality. There's this subjective reality. It's our interpretation of reality, because everybody has a different story they're telling themselves. And so projection is perception. You don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. So if you're hiding and you're not communicating or reaching out or connecting with new people in any way that you possibly can, and there's always ways to do it, there is never a lack of resources, there's only a lack of resourcefulness. There's a million ways to do it, right? Unless you tell yourself there isn't, and then that'll be your experience. Remember, Henry Ford once said that if you think you can or you can't, you're right, because it's what you're telling yourself. When you're not around other people, you can't see your own blind spots. You'll think I'm laying out the truth. This is the reality. This is how it is. But it's just a version of the reality, or you're telling a story about the reality, and that story could improve. The beliefs could improve. The perceptions could improve. Your behaviors could improve. But if you don't change that story, nothing improves. And it doesn't stay the same. It feels like it's getting worse. So we got to be around others so that our blind spots can be revealed. So faulty beliefs produce more problems, and more problems produce more problems. So we got all these challenges that keep feeding on one another. It's like a fire that starts as a spark and then all of a sudden becomes a roaring forest fire because it kept feeding and feeding and feeding off of itself. So challenge number one is we got these faulty beliefs. Now, I've been doing this for 35 years, tens of thousands of sessions that I've personally facilitated and led people through. And so these are the most common beliefs that have to do with a lack of money, with scarcity, with poverty, with not being able to grow your business, not being able to close that gap from where you are to where you want to be, and always feeling stuck. So the beliefs are, I'm not good enough, which is the core belief that drives all the other fears. I'm not good enough. Because I'm not good enough, I won't be smart enough, I won't be capable enough, I need someone to save me, I need someone to rescue me, I am not enough, so I'm not going to be loved. And if I'm not loved and I'm not enough, then I don't even matter. What's my life all about? Right? And then we have existential crises. We walk around telling her nothing matters, and then we don't want to get out of bed. Right? I've been there many times. and it's hard. Sometimes I drive my family crazy because I'm trying to be motivated and stay on top and stay self-driven because it's on me to do that. As the leader, it's on me to do that. And then there's some days I don't want to get out of bed because it's so hard, because it's so challenging. But because I've built my mindset and I have my resources, I can show up. I can turn a bad day into a better day. I might have a bad day or a bad hour, but I don't have bad weeks or bad months. I used to, but I don't have that anymore. I can shift really quickly now because I've been training myself just like an athlete trains himself. And I started by upgrading my limiting beliefs, okay, and turn them into empowering beliefs. So I'm not good enough. I'll be rejected. I'm not worthy of wealth. I can't trust myself. What if it doesn't work? What if I can't do it? Right? And so wealthy people don't think that way. Or if those fears pop in their mind, they reframe them and shift it around. What if I can't do it? What if I can and I'm getting better every day? Or if I can't do it, who can do it? And how do I get them to teach me? Right? What if it doesn't work out? What if it does? And it's that big breakthrough that you've been looking for. Right? And so if you have a fear that I'm not worthy, that should be your goal, is getting worthy, feeling worthy. We can help you do that. We can shift that very quickly to help you know that you're more than worthy. And so we usually have that happen in our very first experience when we're coaching people. And so we want to develop that belief that I am worthy, because when you're worthy, you will attract more. You will behave in a way that allows you to get what you want because you feel like you're worth it now. Right? It's like making a deposit into your health and happiness account. Every day you're making deposits because you feel worthy of doing that. I had a client one time and she said, I was raised that if I do anything to promote me at all, that I'm going to make God mad at me and I'll never get into heaven. I'm like, oh my gosh, what a nightmare belief. That's so false. Of course, remember, beliefs are opinions, not facts, right? So that is the most ridiculous idea. But if you grow up thinking that anytime you put anything into you, even a compliment into yourself, that God's not going to like you, you might go to hell. That's insane. That's insanity. And unfortunately, a lot of people have some pretty insane beliefs, right? In the 1700s in France, 30,000 men, women, and children were executed because they were found guilty of being werewolves. Werewolves. They were werewolves. Of course, they weren't werewolves. That's ridiculous. But they were killed. They were murdered because people have false beliefs. So there's plenty of false beliefs out there in the world. It's very easy to find them, right? You have to protect yourself. So as kids, we're not in control or responsible for those beliefs because we usually absorb them from those who are raising us. But as adults, you've got to go have a garage sale, a rummage sale. You've got to sort through your head. You've got to get rid of the junk. You got to get rid of the junk. You might not be your fault that it's there, but you have to take responsibility if you allow it to stay there. Right? The word responsibility just means the ability to respond. You got to own it. You got to be accountable. You can't keep blaming everybody. You can't keep blaming your past. You can't keep, blaming your environment or your situation or what's going on. You got to own it and say, what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do with it? I can't help it if it's raining outside and I wanted to cut the grass today. What am I going to do? I'm going to be glad that the flowers are getting a drink of water and I'm going to watch a movie, right? Or I'm going to go do a training. You can't control what happens. You can control how you show up and the story you tell yourself about it. So when you have these faulty beliefs, it drives your actions because how you think, well, it's how you believe influences how you feel influences how you behave, and how you behave influences the results you get. That influences your environment influences what you believe, and it just goes in a big circle and everything is impacting everything else. People say, well, that's just how I feel. Well, how you're feeling is based on your beliefs and what you're saying to yourself. Sometimes feelings can lie. Right? You can be feeling awful about a situation that you don't have to feel awful in. But if you don't change that story, then it's going to feel like reality when it doesn't have to be that way. So inaction causes procrastination, playing small instead of playing big, the way you were born to be, being busy but not really productive, being afraid to take calculated risks. And then we have fragmented action, which means we're very inconsistent. I'm going to send out a newsletter every week to my list, and then you don't send it out, you forget, it's a day late, you send it out 1 week and then you don't send another one for a month. And that's how we show up with everything. It's inconsistent. You need consistency to grow. You can't go to the gym once and walk out with muscles. You can't go to the gym once every month and walk out with muscles. You got to go there a few times a week. You got to show up consistently, and that's what creates the results. And then, of course, when you have faulty beliefs that are driving inaction, then you get a low return on your investment. It doesn't matter what you do. You have no clearly defined goals or outcomes. You don't have your plan of action. You haven't identified who your ideal client is, your client avatar. You haven't picked a niche, so you're doing too many things, and then you're not getting good at anything because you're spread too thin, and that's from fear. What if I make the wrong choice, right? Wealthy people always believe there's going to be more opportunities. And people that come from scarcity always believe that there's no opportunities left, and you had your big chance and it's over and you'll never have it again, and now your life sucks forever. You have got to change that. Wealthy people feel like I got opportunities every day. Every day there's more opportunities. Every day there's something else that shows up. Every day there's another miracle that happens. Every day if I woke up and I got out of bed, it's an opportunity. But if you don't have that, if you don't have resources, you don't have support, you haven't built automated systems, you don't have coaches, you don't have collaborative partners, you don't have a community to draw from, then that means you got no money either, because you're not growing. We got to grow. So there's 3 pillars of wealth. Let's focus on, well, what do wealthy people do then? All right. So first, we have empowered beliefs. So we have beliefs that I am worthy of love. I am worthy of receiving abundance. Put your hand in the air and say, I am worthy of all of it. I am worthy of all of it. I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of abundance. I'm worthy of self-respect. And I'm worthy of being someone who can keep their promises to themselves and show up and take action even when I don't feel like it, especially when I don't feel like it. Okay. Financial education leads to monetary freedom in adulthood. Keep investing in growth, and self-belief produces progress and momentum. And it does. Rich money lessons. Wealthy people have a completely different understanding of money than the poor or the shrinking middle class. So for example, they believe that money is a tool for growth. It's an energy. It's an exchange. You're given awesome products and services, and they're giving you money back. It's an energy exchange, right? And the more value you bring, the more valuable you become. And the more you charge, the better your clients' results are. People who pay attention. If you have a race to the bottom approach, you're a commodity business, you keep lowering your prices to get clients, then you're offering cheaper service, even though your service might be awesome, but it's going to be perceived as cheap because that's how you're selling it. So I don't want to be the cheapest in the town. I want to be the best. And if I'm the best, then I'm going to charge accordingly. And then my clients who pay that income, or they pay that money, they give that energy, they take more out of it. They get better results. If I sell you a book, or let's say I sell you a class and it's $10, or I sell you the same class and it's $10,000, are you going to treat it different? Of course you are. If it's $10, you might show up, you might not show up. But if you paid $10,000 for it, you're going to be there every class. You're going to be taking notes. You're going to be taking action, right? Because there's more perceived value. So money is a tool for growth. You also play to win, right? You play to win. You play to help your life become better. You help to make the lives of those you love better. You help to make the lives of those that you're working with, your clients, your customers. You make their life better. You work to make your collaborative partners, the people that you're working with, better. The people on your team, if you have teammates or if you have employees, you work to make their life better. If you're an employee, you work to make your boss's life better, so that everybody is being a giver. Everybody's being a contributor. Everybody's being a doer, right? The world is full of takers. You got to be a giver. The wealthy people that I know are givers. They contribute more to charity. They're supportive of more people. Not everybody, but money doesn't make you good or bad, greedy or giving. It just amplifies what you already are. So if you had no money and you would still give a homeless person $1, and now you have lots of money, you're going to probably give them $10, $20, $100, because givers are givers. If you had no money and you never gave anybody anything, then you're going to have lots of money and you're probably never going to give anybody anything because, oh, well, you can't trust these charities. They're just putting the money in their pocket. So money doesn't change you. It amplifies who you already are. Okay. So we want to play to win. We also use good debt. And I've already talked about this. So I'm going to take loans from here. I'm going to take loans from here. I'm going to use that to pay for speed. I took student loans to get my education. I borrowed money from credit cards, which are just from banks, right? To be able to pay for coaches. I took loans out of my savings account, out of my life insurance account. I borrowed from myself. Wealthy people learn to borrow from themselves, right? So you're still making all the interest, but you're paying the interest back to you instead of to a bank. There's so many things that wealthy people do that other people hadn't even heard of before. It's called infinity banking. I never heard of that, right? And so there's so many ways that you can use debt in a good way. So I don't try to pay off debt. I try to advance my income, I try to advance my income. I had a financial planner tell me one time when I was younger and just starting out and trying really hard, and he sat there and humiliated me in front of my wife. He says, well, you don't have a debt problem, you have an income problem. And I'm like, yeah, well, if you saw where I started from, I'm not doing too bad. Okay. And now I make way more money than that knucklehead. And so we want to make sure that we are lifting people up. Okay. So we use good debt, and we also spend to earn, right? Got to spend money to make money. That's how it is. Now you can do it organically, but it takes a long time. So you got to spend money on advertising. You got to spend money on team members. You got to spend money on valuable tools and resources. You got to spend money to get people out there in front of you. And wealthy people are like, I'm going to do it. Or they ask, how can I do it? Not can I or should I? They say, how am I going to do it? What's possible? What if this was easy? They just ask different questions. And most people don't even know what those questions are, which is why I'm putting this program together for you. Maybe you know what these questions are and you just needed some support. Maybe you just needed a push. Or maybe we need to get rid of those mental weeds that are in your mind so that you can finally show up and shine and turn your light on like the lighthouse that you are. That develops prosperity habits. Financial security leads to smart decision-making, more opportunities, faster growth, and higher self-worth. Okay, so focus, consistent action, clear goals, confidence, and community attracts wealth. So over the last 35 years, I facilitated over 16,000 hours of private coaching sessions and gained a deep understanding of how the human mind functions, especially at an unconscious level. And what I learned is that our thoughts, feelings, and actions are guided by these unconscious beliefs that are mostly established inside of our brain by the time we're 12 years old. It's kind of like you got an inner 12-year-old running your life right now, which I don't know about you, but I think that's a bad idea. Okay? You cannot sustainably improve your mood and your behavior without first upgrading the foundational core beliefs that drive your thoughts, your feelings, and your habits. You gotta upgrade those beliefs. So personal development, traditional personal development programs focus on creating a positive mental attitude, which is really important. It's a huge essential part of success. Yet this approach relies heavily on improving what's happening in your conscious mind, your analytical mind, the part of you that only controls 20% of what you do. The beliefs that drive your behavior and how you really feel. You tell yourself, I'm a millionaire, and then gulp, and you get tight, you swallow, and then that voice in your head says, no, you're not, you're a fraud. You're full of crap. That's never going to happen, right? So what we have to do is we have to get those beliefs in our unconscious mind to say that's true and it's happening. If it hasn't happened yet, it's going to happen soon, probably today, because you're amazing and you're going to make it happen and you can do anything you want. So keep believing in yourself and keep believing in your dreams and show up today. Show up today. Show up today. Okay. You got to get that in your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind controls 80% of everything that you do at an unconscious level. So it makes sense to work with that part of you. You've all seen the pictures before of the iceberg, and you see the 20% on top and 80% of that iceberg is on the bottom. The Titanic ship, that giant ship, did not get sunk by hitting the top of that iceberg. It sunk because it hit the bottom of the iceberg, that 80%, that huge chunk. That huge chunk is our unconscious mind, and it's what stores and runs the beliefs. And your beliefs don't care what you really have to say. They only care what you really believe. And so that's why positive affirmations don't work very well, or vision boards don't work really well unless you've upgraded the unconscious beliefs, right? We've got these mental weeds, and improving your thoughts without strengthening beliefs is like cutting the top off of a weed. The fear and the doubts just keep growing back. So we try to fake it till you make it, but that's like throwing a bag of dirt on top of the weeds. They just grow right up through the dirt. Can't believe I'm here again. I can't believe I'm in the same situation again. I thought I resolved this. I'm older now. I thought I would have had this figured out by now. I've had people come to see me for coaching that were 90 years old. They're like, I'm still alive. I still got issues. I want to resolve them before I die, right? I'm like, you're amazing. So impressive. So what do? We got to remove it at the root. Okay. You must pull the weed out at the root and then plant a flower. Empowering belief. That weed there actually came from my backyard, right? And it was crazy. So when I pulled that out, I'm like, look at the size of this weed. Now, normally we just run that over with the lawnmower, and then the people that would cut our grass, they run over with the lawnmower, and then we'd be like, weed's gone, right? Weed's gone, but it's not. The root was way deep in there, and it would just grow back, and then it would, have more weeds, and then we'd have more weeds, and then we'd have more weeds. Problems create problems, right? So what we do is we've got to pull it out at the root. And that's what we do when we upgrade our beliefs. That's why my one belief away method is so revolutionary, right? Because we believe that you're just one belief away from having a huge, significant breakthrough in your life. Now, most of us, we have many beliefs that we have to upgrade, but usually that core belief, if you go from I'm not good enough to I'm more than enough, I'm not worthy to I'm more than worthy, God will be mad at me to God created me in his image to create and be abundant. So God will be smiling upon me, right? God will be smiling upon me when I live my full potential. Now, all of a sudden, it's a whole new game. Instead of holding back, you're leaning in, you're running forward. And then when you plant dozens of flower seeds, dozens of new empowering beliefs, it begins to change the soil of your mind. So it's conducive for growing more flowers. Your thoughts become more supportive and encouraging. I had someone one time that worked in that business, a horticulturist, and she said that when you start planting a lot of flower seeds, it literally changes the soil and becomes more conducive for growing more flowers, and it doesn't work as well for growing weeds. So if you just plant a lot of flowers, the weeds some will still be there, but they're not multiplying because it changed the soil. We want to change the soil of the mind. When I have a negative thought, I start immediately reframing it. Or in my mind, I'm like, that's adorable, that silly little thought. What do I want to believe? What do I want to have happen? Because negative thoughts will still pop in your mind, but you reframe it immediately. And then you believe what you tell yourself. And then it shifts how you feel, and you get back on track and you get going again. But that's not what people do when they're full of mental weeds. So over the last 3.5 decades, I've developed a revolutionary approach that quickly removes these mental weeds and provides people with a millionaire mindset. Now, I pick millionaires because millionaires are high achievers. They're some of the highest achievers on the planet, right? I could have picked, I was going to say, top performing athletes, but guess what? Top performing athletes are millionaires, right? So I picked millionaires. I don't care if you're a millionaire or not. You can have an amazing life making $80,000 a year, making $100,000 a year, depending on where you live. You don't have to be a millionaire, but if you want to, it's not because you're trying to have millions. It's because you have to become a different version of yourself in order to have that kind of wealth. It's the journey, and it's who you become that's the real reward. Because once you have money and you have nicer houses, you have houses in different places, you have cars, you get used to it. It's just stuff, you get used to it, and then you want more, you want different, or you can be in a mansion, but if you don't feel well, or something happens in your family, it don't matter how much money you have because you're unhappy in your mansion. Right? So it's not having the stuff. The money is a goal so that you can become the person that you wanted to grow into. Having goals is so that you can continue to grow. In nature, if you're not growing, you're dying. And if you don't have goals, then you know what's happening. So we've got to set goals no matter what they are. For some people, the goal is I'm going to get up today and I'm going to eat breakfast, and I'm going to make sure that I take care of myself today. Right? That is my goal, that I'm going to focus on taking care of me so I can take care of everybody else. And that is a win. That is huge. I have clients that are retired and they're single and they didn't have children and they're sitting in an apartment by themselves and they're either happy or they're not. And if they're not happy, it's because they don't have goals and they don't have something that they're working towards. If they're happy, it's because they always have something that's coming up. They're going to go meet with a friend. They're going to go to a club. They're taking another class. They're learning online. They're going to try out a new restaurant, right? They're always doing something because they want to keep growing. You don't retire, you retread, right? That's the mentality. So here's our solution. We got to upgrade our beliefs, our strategies, and our habits. So my personal mission, and I hope it becomes yours, is to discover the precise beliefs, strategies, and habits that help people become wealthy and influential, regardless of the economy or their present circumstances. So I interviewed 149 millionaires over the last couple of years. And specifically, I hung out in these mastermind groups with rooms full of multimillionaires. And so I was counting and doing head counts for everybody in those mastermind groups, everybody that I talked to, everybody that I interviewed, and it came out to 149 millionaires and multimillionaires, and there was a billionaire in there as well, right? 2 billionaires that I've met, and asked for detailed instructions on how do you think about this? What do you say to yourself in your mind when this happens? How do you get yourself out of bed when you're feeling like things aren't going well? Because just because you're rich doesn't mean that you don't get stressed, that you don't get unhappy, that you don't get scared, that you don't get freaked out. There's plenty of wealthy people that their lives are, just as painful as everybody else's. They just got nicer stuff, right? And so we want to figure out, how do you communicate with yourself? What are the specific strategies that you're using? What are those habits? And it turns out that there actually are habits and ways of thinking and strategies that people use that have wealth that most people don't know of. I always wondered, if you're rich and successful and wealthy, do you have access to secret stuff that most people don't know about or have access to? And the answer is, oh yes, for sure they do. So wealthy people simply think differently than everybody else, as I've been saying this. So what I did was I got myself in those rooms with wealthy people like Grant Cardone and Krista Mayshore, right? And getting into high-level mastermind groups, visiting mastermind groups where it was $125,000 to be in that room, to be a part of that room, right? Where you're getting the top 1% of high achievers and entrepreneurs in that room. And then I talked to everybody that I could talk to. I had conversations with everybody, and I took copious notes. I took so many notes, and I soaked in the attitude, the beliefs, the strategies, and then I went and applied them. I applied them in my life, and it just was amazing. And then I apply them with my clients and my students in their lives, and it's amazing for them as well. I just got a text yesterday from someone saying that she won a huge award, and she couldn't have done it if she wouldn't have gone through our One Belief Away certification program. It unleashed her confidence and her drive, and she got the award, and the first person, or maybe besides her husband, she's reaching out to me saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, as her coach, right? That's awesome. So it can work for you as well. Now, here's a big thing that I also noticed is that people who are wealthy and who are achievers and who are out there and they're doers and they're go-getters and they're implementers and completionists. So they get started fast and they complete what they start. They also feel different. They feel different. There's an old quote that's very wise. It says, you manifest what you are, not what you want. You manifest who you are, not what you want. So most attempt to visualize success or give themselves affirmations or pray a lot, but they secretly fear that it's not going to happen. And so that secret fear that we're just going to be let down again, we're just going to be disappointed, that we're wasting our time, that we're stupid. These are fears that we all have. I have those all the time, but we got to shift them, right? So that gets reflected back. And so what I do is I reframe it immediately, right? And then of course I have all kinds of positive self-talk because I've upgraded my beliefs and I have my resources and I created programs and I listen to my own stuff. I listen to my own stuff because it's so good. I didn't make it up. I was a reporter. I researched and I found the most successful people and I interviewed them and I figured out their mental recipes, their success recipes. And then I put them into programs. And now I listen to those programs all the time as well, right? I was the first one to invest in my own stuff, and it has paid off time and time again. Okay, so we have to make sure that we are changing our inner world so that our outer world will reflect it. Most are using affirmations, which are great after you upgrade your beliefs, because otherwise you won't believe it and you create a conflict. So most use affirmations that influence them at an intellectual, conscious level, but then feel emotionally conflicted because of subconscious beliefs and scarcity. Wealthy people use feelization. Feelization. Their feelings are in alignment with their thoughts, their behaviors, and their habits. Feelization creates an abundant energy that ignites potential and possibility. This causes your brain's reticular activating system, this part of your brain in the center of your brain, to start noticing opportunities everywhere you go. And then emotion is rocket fuel for action, which produces momentum. So consistent action and self-belief continually attracts the right people, the right opportunities, more income. And of course, that makes you more excited. Success breeds more success, and high energy equals high income. I want you to say it with me. Put your hand in the air and say out loud, high energy equals high income. It's so true. If you come up to a client or a customer, or you go online and you're like, hey, so today we're going to make this happen and it's going to be awesome. And, I hope this works for you. And I hope it isn't too much money. We have payment plans and maybe I can give you a coupon, right? Oh my gosh. You're just saying, I don't like money. Okay. And then money will feel the same way about you. So we got to shift that around. We got to shift it around. So here's the solution. I took everything that I learned on how to upgrade your beliefs, your strategies, and your habits at an unconscious level and a conscious level, but more importantly, at an emotional, unconscious, deep level, so we can pull the weeds and plant flowers. And I put it into a course that's called Millionaire Maker. It's a Millionaire Maker mindset program, and it is awesome. It's designed to upgrade your beliefs, your strategies, and your habits. That will teach you investing strategies, clarifying how to win in a bigger way, how to multiply and grow, how to create momentum, how to show up in a consistent way. So it teaches you in these video lessons how to show up in the same way that the highest achievers are showing up. And that took a long time for me to collect and put together. Right? This isn't something I loaded into ChatGPT and some computer just spit out the same stuff you can find on the internet, because most of the stuff, the free advice online, will cost you dearly because a lot of it is garbage and nonsense. There's a ton of people who say they're gurus out there and they are not, right? And so we get confused and we get frustrated. So this cutting edge program is designed to reprogram your subconscious mind to think, feel, and make decisions like a high achieving millionaire. So say goodbye to money sabotage and scarcity thinking and embrace the core 4 beliefs, habits, and strategies that have led countless individuals to 6- and 7-figure success. With the Millionaire Maker, you'll gain the confidence, the power, and the wealth building mindset to reach your financial goals, as long as you apply what you're learning and you show up every day. No program's going to magically fix you. You got to do the work. No one can do your push-ups for you. So you got to show up and do the work. But this program, if there is an easy button, this is it. So you don't want to miss out on this life-changing opportunity to transform your future. You want to enroll in the Millionaire Maker course today. When you do that, here's what you're going to get. Okay, we have 21 video lessons where I sit down with you and we do a lesson and I teach you one of the 4 core strategies in different categories, right? We've got the beliefs, we got the money sabotages, we've got the core strategies that millionaires use to create more wealth, and then of course the habits that allow them to show up strong and powerful and consistent every day. And so it is awesome. So let me go through the modules with you so you know exactly what you're going to be doing. So module number 1, Roadmap to Millions. It's an overview, how millionaires get to be millionaires, right? So are you cut out to be a millionaire? And if you said yes to this program, I believe you are, because only high achievers show up to a program like this. Only high achievers watch the entire program. Only high achievers click on the link and check out what the program is. Only high achievers enroll in the program. And then only high achievers commit to themselves to make the program work for them. Not, is it going to work for me? I'm going to make it work for me. Doesn't matter what shows up. What matters is how you show up. I'm not worried on what's going to happen to me. I'm focused on what I'm going to bring to the situation. See, it's a confidence. It's a different belief system. It's a different intentional way of showing up. And then that produces a different results and better outcomes for you. Module 2 is the 4 money sabotages that millionaires never make. They have in the past and they learned from it, and that's why I don't do it anymore, right? So discover how to avoid the 4 most common self-sabotages, and then we go through every one of those, right, around money, and then how you flip it around. If you take a self-sabotage, you flip it upside down, it becomes a powerful method for success. So you can earn more and keep more of what you earn. It's not just what you make, it's how much you keep, right? It's how much you keep. So module number 3, 4 habits all millionaires live by. Develop the core 4 habits that transform people into high achievers and 7-figure earners, so you can start doing that too. Model excellence, model success. It's a key strategy of top earners. We emulate success. What are other people doing that's working? I'm going to do that too. Okay. And then the 4 strategies in module 4 for becoming a millionaire. Use the 4 secret strategies the wealthy use to increase their riches. You can do the same thing once you learn these wealth strategies. Now, I'm not promising that you're going to be a millionaire because I can't do that. Only you can make that promise to yourself and then keep it. And this program will help you keep it, and it'll help you to follow through. And then we go into the most exciting part, because this is really quality, powerful information. But it's not the favorite part for me. The favorite part for me is what we do next. And that's what makes this program different from any other program out there on the market. We're upgrading the unconscious beliefs. We're not just changing how you feel. We're not just giving you a positive attitude. We're literally getting into your unconscious mind and resolving the conflicts. We're upgrading the beliefs. We're creating a feeling of worthiness. And that's what makes this program special and unique and effective. Okay. So we use the one belief away, the mind power tools. And that is the best part. Okay. Your brain will be trained to feel like a millionaire using the extraordinary power mind tools developed over 35 years of doing sessions and researching peak performance. So you don't have to spend 6 figures in the next 3.5 decades of your life figuring this out, because I've already done that for you. I've already done it for you. Collapse timeframes, pay for speed. Okay. Free yourself from fear, insecurity, self-doubt, procrastination, confusion, unworthiness, imposter syndrome, and issues with money that hold you back using my revolutionary one belief away power tools. So what are they? Well, let's go through them. Okay. Number 1, we're going to do the money belief upgrader. We're going to replace limiting beliefs around money with an empowering abundance belief system. This is huge. This is where I take you through my awakening experience, which is the most powerful experience I have. We go find those deepest core beliefs that you have, those upsetting experiences where the first one where that negative belief around money was formed. We're going to go back. We're going to upgrade it, give you new resources that if you had them back then, you'd probably already be affluent and wealthy, right? And so we're going to upgrade those beliefs. We're going to pull out the mental malware, the mental weeds, and we're going to replace it with new empowering software and new empowering flowers and beliefs that allow you to really take it to a whole other level. This one session is 10 times worth what you'll pay to get into this program. Just that one session. And there's 21 lessons here. The second power tool is what we call millionaire confidence. So many people are lacking confidence. So many of us, right? You want more people than not are lacking confidence. And I'm talking about people who already have a good business and who are already coaches and successful. And when we start working together, they're like, man, I just don't have the confidence. Right? So you're going to discover your brain's precise unconscious recipe for how to feel confident. Then we're going to apply that mental success formula that's already working for you to your wealth creating activities, because there's times where you feel confident or times where you feel motivated, right? Naturally, maybe it's not with your work, but it's with your kids, your grandchildren, going to the movies. There's something, right? Playing with your dog or your cat. There's something. What if we could take that same energy and apply it to this? You can. I know how. In this program, I'll take you through it, right? So what could you accomplish if you had 100% self-belief? If those beliefs that are in the way weren't there anymore, what could you accomplish then? Let's find out. Okay. The next one is millionaire motivation. Because after confidence, people are like, I can't get motivated. I know what to do. I just can't get myself to do it. I keep procrastinating. I keep putting things off. I keep getting distracted. I got too many things and I don't know what to do, and I get overwhelmed, so I don't do anything. I hear that all the time. So this program solves it. In fact, this is such a big issue that there's actually 3 videos on this one subject, right? It's power tool number 3, but there's actually 3 videos in there on this one particular subject because it's so important. So you're going to experience 3 extraordinary strategies for instantly boosting focus, motivation, and drive, so that you know how to make yourself feel motivated and inspired anytime you want, at will. Imagine if you had a button, you could push that button and all of a sudden you are on and you are ready to go for it. I'm a doer. Let's go. Right? Imagine having that ability. I'm going to show you how to anchor that and how to release that in your life. And then, of course, the next module after that, the final power tool, is what I call millionaire alignment, because this is really, really important. And this is what sets most people free, because sometimes you can go through everything and still feel stuck, still feel like there's something still stuck. And I figured out what it was. It's a beliefs conflict. You got 2 different beliefs conflicting in your unconscious mind. One says, I really want to, and it'll make me feel good. And the other says that, but I can't because I'm afraid it'll hurt me or I won't be safe. When the nail stands out, that's when it gets hammered, right? These old false beliefs that people have. And so I want to do this, but I'm afraid I'll get hurt. Or I want to do this, but I also want to do this. I don't want to work really hard or put myself out there or get out of my comfort zone, but I want to make a lot of money. Oh, you're going to have a conflict then, right? It's like, I'm going to sit on the beach in my underwear and make millions of dollars doing nothing. That's false. That's a myth. That was a marketing thing that somebody was lying to you with. That doesn't work. You know, people that are wealthy are always working. They're always hustling. They're always putting energy out there. It's just they love what they do. So it doesn't feel as much like work. It feels like fun, right? And the more fun you have, the more successful you become. Put your hand in the air and say, the more fun I have, the more successful I am. That's right. The more fun I have, the more successful I am. It's an I am statement. Okay. If you work hard, but you don't make the progress you deserve, you take 2 steps forward and then fall back, you have an unconscious values conflict that needs resolving. This experience will blend those competing beliefs into a collaborative force that replaces self-sabotage with massive momentum, so you can make your dreams come true instead of them just being a fantasy that never actually ever happens. So the program's $500. I'm giving it to you today for 50% off, right? $247. That is a deal, right? You could go to a session with somebody, and pay more than that and not get the results that you're going to get from going through our first power tool. Plus there's 21 lessons in there, right? So this program is worth thousands of dollars. I priced it low to begin with because I want everybody to have access to this information. And because you're showing up, I'm giving you a special offer. I want to reward the people who show up. I want to reward the people who raise their hands, because those are the ones that are actually going to do something. The people that are distracted and running around, they're not going to do anything. But you showed up, right? So the people that show up, I want to reward. And so you can get this for 50% off. It's good for today only. So make sure that you take action now. Be a doer. Say, I'm a doer. I'm a doer. Too many people delay. Wealthy people don't delay. They take action. They're like, well, I'm going to make the right choice, or I'm going to make the choice right. You know, I'm not going to sit here and wonder if I should get on that money train, because by the time I figure it out, the train already left the station. I got to go. I got to do it now. Money loves speed. Joe Vitale did not say, and he's one of the most famous authors on the planet in personal development, and he says that money loves speed. He does not say that money loves delay. So do it now, do it now, do it now. There's a money back guarantee if you don't love it, which that's not going to happen because you're going to love it. You know, but if you're worried about that because you got that scarcity mindset, then, you're okay. The wealthy people aren't saying, can I get my money back? They don't care about that. They make an investment and they say, I'm going to make this work for me. I'm going to figure out how to make it work for me. That's the mindset. And that's why they're winning. That's why they're succeeding at the highest level. You got to have that mindset too. So you can go to that bit.ly link there. You can scan with your phone the QR code, and it'll take you right to the checkout page, and you can enroll, and then it'll take you right to your enrollment page, and you can get access and start immediately with lesson number 1. I'll meet you right there. I'm wearing my suit. I'm like, hey, right? And so we can get you started with this, right? So remember, the most important part of this are the power tools. I want you to go through all the lessons first, but then when you get to those power tools, that's going to be where we start to create the new beliefs, the new confidence, the new motivation, and we're going to resolve the conflicts that might be getting in the way. So make sure you enroll right now. I want to share a quick story with you from Joe, who went through this program, and he did other coaching programs as well, but he really loved this program. I just talked to him a while ago. This was a video. He called me from his car, and I want to share with you, he gave me permission to do this. I want to share with you what his results have been from going through this program and learning the 4 core habits, strategies, and beliefs of millionaires.
My life is good.
It's good.
Good. For FY22, which finished in September, I sold $46.5 million. I out of that, it was like 11 or 11 and a half or whatever it was, million in margin.
Wow.
And so this past year, I made the most I've ever made.
That's what you got to look forward
to. You see that joy from Joe? You know, when we talk about what we're doing, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like joy, right? The more fun you have, the more successful you become. And that energy is what goes out into the universe. And then it reflects back more people, more opportunities, more situations for you to attract more wealth into your life. And then you execute, then you follow through on that. And 11% margin means profit, right? 11 million in profit. That's pretty awesome. Okay. So I can't promise what's going to happen for you. Joe's been doing this for a long time. He's been working on his attitude for like 7-8 years. And so he didn't start there. That's what happened over time. So I want to make sure that you know that no matter where you're at, this is something that you're going to use and adopt and apply, and it's going to take time. When you put seeds in the ground, you don't come back the next day and then all of a sudden you have your food, right? Or whatever it is that you've planted. But you've got to get the seeds in the ground. You got to plant them and water them. And then eventually you have your harvest, right? And then we keep building more fields and creating more harvests. So you got your special offer today, $247. Enroll in the Millionaire Maker Mindset course. I will meet you in lesson 1, and it's going to be awesome. So enroll now, and I'll see you there. Thank you. All right, wonderful. Now I'm going to go ahead. If anybody has any questions, I will go ahead and open this up for questions. Have any questions for me?
I do. My name is Kimberly, and I have been doing clearing of limiting beliefs for a long time. And I'm just wondering, like, do you have a system in place with your course to help people really uncover like the deep limiting beliefs? Because I've cleared and I have cleared and I have cleared as far as money beliefs, limitations, confidence, and I have a very quick way to clear that on my own as well. So I love that you have a comprehensive program here, but I'm just wondering, how do you help somebody with a video course get to those really deep levels?
That's an excellent question, Kimberly. Thanks for asking that. And good for you. I'm proud of you for doing this work. There's lots of beliefs that we got to work through, right? Yeah. And
so later.
Yeah. And that's how you grow. And that's how you become the next better version of you. I mean, you're way more powerful than you used to be, right? And
absolutely.
And you're going to be more powerful a year from now, 5 years, and 10 years from now, because you keep doing the work, because you keep going. I've hired many coaches. I didn't hire a coach and say, well, I'm good now. I have many coaches. I have a coach right now, and I'm already doing really well. And so we're always continually going and growing forward. So from doing tens of thousands of sessions, I realized that there was some very similar themes happening all the time. And one of the things people were saying was, I feel like I never got deep enough to the deepest core issue. Right? To the one that if I knock that one down, it would knock all the other ones down like dominoes. Right? And so we're collapsing all these beliefs, but we never got to the deepest core one. So I developed an approach to be able to help you find that deepest core belief and upgrade it there. Then I made sure that we needed to anchor in the new beliefs and the new feelings so that we establish habits that allow you to show up and consistently produce. But then there might also be an issue where you still have some conflicts inside. Right? And so that's why I had that last power tool that I put in there, the 4th power tool, that helps you figure out, well, what are the positive intentions of the beliefs that might still be getting in your way? Because if you're still feeling stuck, then there might be some other issue that's going on there that we've got to figure out what it is. And there's always one. There's always an issue, right? Like I was talking to somebody yesterday, and she had 3 different businesses she was trying to run, but she was struggling with all of them because she was spread too thin. And her belief, one of the things that was holding her back from really being focused just on one, is she was afraid that what if I make the wrong choice? What if I make the wrong choice? And then it all falls apart. And that comes from a fear of not being good enough, right? Not good enough to trust yourself, not good enough to figure out how to pivot and shift and get enough feedback to make it work, right? So it was driving all this insecurity. And so what we did was we resolved that conflict. Now she was excited about going in one direction, have more energy, drive deeper, get faster results, instead of all that pressure she was having on herself. And then if she shows up with that in that way, she's going to show up in that way with the other areas of her life as well. So I've just found, and remember, I'm working with coaches and therapists and consultants and counselors and people who are writing books on the subject and top producers. I've had clients like and work with people like Les Brown and Dennis Waitley and Joe Vitale and Krista Mayshore. These are top of the game, people, and we're still able to help them have breakthroughs too, right? So this program, especially at the price point, is a really valuable tool for you to be able to take it to the next level.
Cool. One more question, if I may.
Sure.
You talk about the feelings that help to obviously empower the beliefs, which I know to be true. For somebody who might be have nervous system dysregulation from multiple traumas, I have found that it is sometimes difficult to feel the feelings to a higher degree to help propel those new beliefs?
I've not found that, unless there's the conflicts that are still in there where they want to believe it and intellectually they understand that it wasn't their fault and that they're safe now and that that's in the past, but it's still, there's beliefs in there that are keeping them stuck. And so they're not fully allowing themselves to feel it because maybe they're still afraid they might be unsafe, or there's still unrepressed anger that never got actually freed, right? And so then it's a harder time for them. Now, it's true that some people, the way they're wired, some people, the way their brain is wired, that they're still going to have challenges with that. And so for that, we've developed other tools and techniques, but that's not something for a program. Like that's something you need live interaction with. And so we have programs like that for live interaction where we can actually get together, in group settings, right? Or you can work with our One Belief Away hypnotist and help with that. I still think that if you're into success and happiness and wealth and prosperity, then this is the perfect course because of the power tools. But if you need additional support, then this should be a part of your program. And then you reach out for live coaching and interaction as well.
Cool. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. Awesome questions. All right, everybody. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Go enroll now. I'll meet you in the Millionaire Maker Mindset course, and we'll talk to you then. Make today a sure success. Remember, you're just one belief away from having a huge breakthrough in your life. Bye, everybody.